Very funny.
We now give you our brand new little sweetheart of swing.
You're listening to Stay Tuned, the show for animation lovers, recorded live on statiONhead Radio and also streaming on Patreon. Coming to you from Austin, Texas, I'm your host, Phil Machi. My original comics can be discovered at retailsunshine.com, and you can interact with me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under the handles of both Retail Sunshine and Phil Machi. Also, you can keep up to date with the latest animation news by visiting this show at facebook.com/StayTunedShow. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. On tonight's episode, we are back in the theaters with my first impressions on Teen Titans Go to the Movies, as well as the TV series of the same name. All that, and you'll have a chance to share your thoughts, questions, and opinions with me, live and on the air. Ah, teenagers. The never-ending quest for pizza, epic video games, and relief from boredom. Oh, and fighting crime is a thing too, I guess. Yeah. Yes, teen life is tough, all right, especially when you're living under the same roof as an alien princess, daughter of a demon, biomechanical robot, talking birdarang, dancing boombox, and a boy who can transform into any animal. Yes, any animal! But first, shenanigans.
Ain't no stopping shenanigans. Love getting into shenanigans. All the damn shenanigans. 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 Shenanigans.
When it comes to entertainment, I think people ultimately want to be surprised. It's no secret that American culture has been plunged into a fascination of the super kind. But as this obsession with heroics begins to wear thin with audiences, the challenge once again is originality. The team over at Warner Animation Group answered this with a clever parody. A superhero movie centered around superheroes who want a movie made about them. While typically not as widely recognized as Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman, the Teen Titans aren't new characters. And before we get into the new film, allow me to take a quick look back at how we even got here in the first place. Inspired by the comic book stories of the 1960s and 1980s under the same name, the Teen Titans have had a variety of animated incarnations. Perhaps most notable of these is the 2003 series on Cartoon Network. The show was a mostly serious take on the characters, but drew inspiration from anime in both style and tone. This would lend itself well to the teenage heroes when their emotions got the better of them. After 5 seasons totaling 65 episodes and a made-for-TV movie, Teen Titans was canceled. Fans were devastated and demanded a 6th season. Now, I'm not currently in the animation industry, but what I have learned over the years is one thing. If you ever wonder why something of quality goes away, it's typically money-related. In the world of cartoons, this translates to 2 major arenas, ratings and toy sales. Because of this, the demographics are regularly re-evaluated and good shows go away despite their best efforts. And here is where things get interesting. In late 2011, out emerged a series of roughly 1-minute cartoon shorts under the name New Teen Titans, like the 80s comic books, where a different take on the popular series paved the way for the future. The characters were redesigned as chibi, a Japanese term meaning small, and that tends to result in larger heads and cuter appeal. Basically, the extreme stylings of the original series became the new style guide, and only a lighter subject matter remained. Then, in 2013, a spin-off series called Teen Titans Go premiered. Hooray! Fans were blown away by how it wasn't anything they wanted. Taking the extremes of the new Teen Titans shorts and pushing it further still, this series was incredibly different from the 2003 fan favorite. But I don't think being different was its crime. You see, Teen Titans Go not only had a similar art style, meaning same costumes and design of the Titan Tower headquarters, but the original Teen Titans voice cast, Tara Strong, Greg Sipes, Scott Menville, Carrie Payton, and Hynden Walsh, all reprised their roles. So, what started as a youthful 22-minute action drama series with complex character development and overarching storylines became a smart aleck, self-loathing series of 11-minute shorts. Quite literally, the show, along with the fans' hope, was chopped in half. The new show was quick-witted, yet often nonsensical and silly, with a cartoon logic approach. Most episodes play with the 5 main characters, Robin, Cyborg, Starfire, Raven, and Beast Boy, in sitcom style, and regardless of the often tragic events that follow, the dominoes are reset before the next show, and the whole thing starts all over again. As for the crime fighting, the majority of that was removed, and if anything, pits the Titans as comically superpowered bullies as they revel in their own might against members of the Hive. Let's face it, reinterpretations happen all the time, but not quite like this. Fans of the 2003 series felt betrayed. That is why I feel like the perfect person to be reviewing this film, because I was one of those fans. Upon the emergence of Teen Titans Go, I watched very little and prejudged the series. I was bitter over yet another quality show being replaced by what I had deemed as garbage. To prepare for the new film, I hunkered down and watched all of Season 1 and some of 2. And believe it or not, the darn thing has really grown on me, which is good because the show is 5 seasons in and still going very strong. I now believe the key to enjoying this series is to simply take it on its own terms. A comedy series that occasionally features action, but mostly animated antics. It's not trying to be a superhero show. If anything, it's the anti-superhero show, and is centered mainly around 5 distinct personalities who all live together for better or worse, oftentimes worse. The goal of Teen Titans Go is humor at the expense of the genre. With heavy roots in parody, it is unbound from story continuity. Which leads me to tonight's feature. Teen Titans Go to the movies has some big shoes to fill. Aside from the extremely limited release of The Killing Joke back in 2016, this is the first widely released animated DC Comics movie since Batman: Mask of the Phantasm back in 1993. This film is truly an extension of the TV series, and fair warning, this review will act in kind. Do you need to know a lot about the Titans or other characters from DC Comics to enjoy the movie? No, but you'll appreciate the myriad of references even more if you do. Case in point, the Challengers of the Unknown. Do you know who they are? No, you probably don't. That's because practically no one does, which made this deep dive into the DC Comics library of characters so hilarious when they became one of the biggest running jokes in the film. But not everyone is a DC Comics fanboy or fangirl, so I'm happy to report this movie does still stand on its own for the general public. That being said, allow me to just nerd out a little here by saying the sight gags in the background are filled with DC puns that, as a fan, plastered a permanent joke plastered a permanent Joker grin to my face. It was hilarious to see posters like Aquamanatee, Jonah Rex, and What's Up Doc, which is extra ingenious because it's not only a reference to another Warner Brothers property, but visually refers to Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen. And because I want you to be in on some of the running gags that carry over from the TV series, I've compiled a short list of episodes from Teen Titans Go that are a sort of recommended viewing before seeing the movie. These are only from the first 2 seasons because, at the time of this recording, that is as far as I've watched. Check out the Season 1 episode, Uncle Jokes. If you really want to understand the essence of every Titan, this episode cleverly plays with each of their personalities. Also in Season 1, Dreams takes us into the imaginative minds of each Titan as they sleep. It's a fun way to watch how the animation style of the show is toyed with depending on the situation. And from Season 2, both Baby Hands and The Mask. Trust me, the visual gags from these have big payoffs in the film. And back to the film, the premise is a simple one. These young heroes are just not taken seriously. They are the butts of the joke in the DC universe, pun intended, based on the opening fight sequence with a giant farting balloon villain. While the 2003 Teen Titans was very well loved and respected, Teen Titans Go is a joke. Literally, it's meant to be a joke, meaning the show's creators are absolutely in on it. How else do you explain our heroes as they get so wrapped up in their own theme song they are oblivious as the Justice League comes in to actually save the day? And this is where the series and its subsequent film have earned my respect. They're not trying to replace the original. The series repeatedly acknowledges its roots and even establishes it as a separate entity. There are even moments in the TV show where Robin will refer back to what he calls the original Titans, and we are shown a brief clip of animation from the 2003 show with new, comically and poorly dubbed audio over top to fit the flashback. It's both brilliant and enjoyable. Anywho, back to the movie. Batman has a new movie premiere, because of course he does, and every hero imaginable is invited, except the Teen Titans. So, Raven sneaks everyone inside via teleportation, one of the best running gags in the film, just in time for the previews. I'd like to point out that at this part of the story, we're watching a superhero movie about superheroes watching a superhero movie. Yeah. During the previews, Robin can only watch in horror as Alfred, the Batmobile, and even Batman's utility belt all have upcoming movies being made about them. Feeling the literal translation of the term sidekick, Robin decides that in order to be taken seriously as a hero, he needs to have a movie too. Raven suggests that they actually need a truly evil villain to define them as heroes. Foreshadowing, they're going to get both things before this film ends. Enter Slade Wilson, voiced by Will Arnett. If you've never heard of Slade, don't worry, he's not the most notable baddie in the DC universe. However, fans of the 2003 Teen Titans are all too familiar. Slade was the primary arch-nemesis in that series, but in Teen Titans Go, other than a few cameos, he had yet to show his face until this movie. And also, he has a mask, so technically hasn't shown his face at all. Remember how I said this show essentially has a reset button at the end of every episode? Well, having newly watched the entire first season, I couldn't help but notice a few things. Robin already had this existential crisis of not being taken seriously as a hero in the Season 1 episode, Starfire the Terrible, which resulted in Starfire posing as a supervillain to make Robin happy. Also, Slade manages to trick the Titans with his mind manipulation abilities as he shocks them with classic gags like the rubber pencil and pretend separating thumb. This is the same separating thumb joke used by Robin himself in another Season 1 episode called Real Magic. My point is, some of this stuff in the movie is recycled from within the show, and the characters have no memory of it, hence a reset button. I don't mind it here though, because that's always been the style of Teen Titans Go. But it's still worth noting. Another noteworthy aspect of Teen Titans Go is how endearing it can be at times. In the film, to help Robin feel better about not having his own big-budget movie, the rest of the team creates a home movie all about him. It's not only sweet, but also showcases a bit of fun stop-motion animation. Fun fact, they made the home movie on a VHS tape that is briefly shown to have been recorded over Young Justice, another canceled fan favorite in the DC universe. At times, the Titans can be incredibly dark. In an episode titled Ghost Boy, all the Titans end up dying and becoming ghosts, for crying out loud. The movie is no exception, and if anything, kicks all of this up a notch. From a surprisingly hilarious hit and run that had me feeling guilty for laughing, to a truly morbid Back to the Future homage. Okay, that last statement warrants an explanation. The Titans go back in time using souped-up big wheel bikes powered by how rad they are, which in and of itself was quite amusing. The point of this scene was to prevent all the tragedies that caused the world's superheroes to become who they are today. Sounds nice, right? Well, this of course produced an alternate reality where evil ruled the earth. So the Titans go back in time again and recreate all those horrible situations. This includes not only a hilarious Ninja Turtles cameo, but more shockingly, the guiding of Bruce Wayne and family back down crime alley towards certain doom. It created such an awkward, uncomfortable feeling, but somehow it all still worked. I didn't know what to expect from this film, but edgy certainly wasn't on my list. Ultimately, the major plot points of the film have to do with Slade, and I love how the filmmakers wove an ominous message into his master plan. Slade creates a doomsday device that will transmit mind-controlling waves via his new streaming service to the entire world. And Robin's first movie will kick the whole thing off. With the world's greatest superheroes so preoccupied while making movies about themselves, no one is available to stop the device. Which got me thinking. With DC Universe, the all-new streaming service coming later this fall from DC Comics, was this a direct jab at DC from within DC itself? It's not too big of a stretch if you think about it. I've made a lot of comparisons tonight between the show and the film, so naturally you may be wondering, is the movie any different, or is it just one long episode? Well, for starters, the overall animation quality has vastly improved for the film. The characters remain their same bold-looking selves. Excuse me. The characters remain their same bold-looking selves. It's a style reminiscent of the Powerpuff Girls or Dexter's Laboratory. However, in the film, the backgrounds have a more complex and painted look. When you combine that with bold foreground characters, the results are very dynamic. In the TV show, it's not uncommon for our heroes to break into song. These songs tend to be short, silly, and playful rather than sweeping musical numbers that help move the story along. What's interesting about the music in this movie is that it's a bit of an upgrade as well. We still get the playful songs with entries like Shenanigans and the comically recurring Titans theme, but during some of these songs, the animation style itself changes to match the music. Like how the corny 80s throwback song, upbeat inspirational song about life, borrows visually from older cartoons, which is a lot of fun. Music is even used by the Titans themselves to save the day. So, yes, music plays a big part. I also loved how there were callbacks to John Williams' original Superman theme and Danny Elfman's Batman theme. Building on the 80s nostalgia, you'll even hear some borrowed moments from Huey Lewis and the News and Aha. I can't remember the last time I had this much fun at the movies. Amongst all the pop culture references, there are even a few Marvel mentions, including a surprise mock cameo from none other than Stan Lee. Among the all-star cameo list, representing the superheroes of the DC universe, perhaps most notable is Nicolas Cage as Superman. This is an amazing addition to the film because years ago, Cage was slated to portray a live-action Man of Steel with director Tim Burton at the helm. That movie never came to pass, which makes this bit of star power extra amusing. These cameos aren't just gratuitous, they're DC not taking itself so seriously. While I happen to love their darker hero films, it's refreshing to see this side of DC Comics. The lackluster response to many of their recent live-action movies has made them something of an underdog, so the success of this movie feels like a much-needed victory. As for the big screen experience, watching the Titans in theaters isn't exactly necessary, but I'll tell you what, when a character's face fills the entire screen and is towering in front of you, it's pretty darn rewarding. Not just that, but sometimes when you spend time around the general public, interesting things can happen. So I've got to share a magical movie moment that I had when going to see this film. First off, the music alone had kids literally jumping up and down in their seats, which in and of itself was amusing. But at the end of the story, Robin feels compelled to impart some sort of morality on the movie-going audience, majorly breaking the fourth wall, of course, but the crowd around him is chanting for the credits to roll. Starfire looks at Robin and sadly declares, "This isn't that kind of movie." So, Robin panics, and as the camera zooms out, he uses his grappling hook to swing towards us and slams his face right into the screen. As a last-ditch attempt to give us a valuable lesson, he exclaims, "Kids, ask your parents where babies come from!" which got a huge laugh from everyone around me. And sure enough, the young boy sitting next to me did as Robin commanded, and his father brushed it off with a "not now," which was a hilarious end to the experience. It's clear based on the backlash from fans of the original show that this version of the characters isn't for everyone. And while I can't speak for the creators of Teen Titans Go specifically, from where I sit, it seems like they just wanted to have some fun, or at the very least, make the best of what the bigwigs did to the original show. At the end of the day, I think that's a fair expectation from any cartoon. Before I wrap this up, I'd like to talk about how staying for the credits during a superhero movie has become something of a staple these days. Teen Titans Go to the Movies does not disappoint here either. Because after the credits start to roll, the screen turns to digital static and you can hear Robin's voice over the speakers. But this is not the Robin we just saw moments ago. No. This is the original design from the 2003 Teen Titans. All the Titans are now looking out over the audience. Once they establish that the signal is coming in clearly, Robin says, "This is the Teen Titans. Can anyone hear us? We think we found a way back." After the screen cuts to black, the only clue we receive are white letters reading, "To be continued" on Cartoon Network. What does all that mean? The answer may lie in a tweet from series regular Tara Strong, who back in June explained that if this movie, quote, "kicks all butts," end quote, it could lead to a 6th season to that original series. Which begs the question, why now? Why does this movie have to shoulder that burden? Doesn't the fact that fans have clamored for years over the original Titan series being canceled matter enough? Doesn't the 200 plus episodes of Teen Titans Go show support? It's all rather strange and exciting at the same time, And who even knows what the definition of kicks all butts even translates to at the box office? Only time will tell, but at least for now, if the fans want to show their support, Teen Titans Go to the Movies is playing in theaters nationwide. As always, we're about to take a short intermission where we'll listen to a little music from tonight's feature film.
You know what you need? You need an upbeat, inspirational song about life. Are you feeling down? Like you just can't do it today?
I can see your frown, but it's all gonna be okay. So believe in yourself, there's no giving up. The power's inside, yeah, that's what's up. It's the kick in the pants, you need it out.
The song will open up your eyes.
It's the feeling you can't beat, to beat out.
It's an 80s song with simple vibes, and you know it's super. It's time to get the groove is sounding. Right now you're feeling. It's an upbeat, inspirational song about life.
I can do it all.
It's time to song and make you feel that way.
No, there's no stopping me. I feel the fire inside.
It's time to song and get you energized.
I love this motivating melody.
And you know it's super. Your life is looking. Don't tell me this ain't.
Yeah, now I'm feeling.
It's an upbeat, inspirational song about life.
I feel like I can do anything, even get my own movie. Hollywood, here we come. Road trip.
And you know it's super. It's time to get. Let's make this party. Everybody's getting. I know you're feeling. Don't tell me this ain't. Your life is looking. The song is yours. It's an upbeat, inspirational song about life.
That was the song Upbeat Inspirational Song About Life from the soundtrack of Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Performed by the cast of the film, this song also features Michael Bolton in an ironic role as a 1980s White Tiger lead singer. The film's score was composed by Jared Faber, whose animation credits include As Told by Ginger and The Epic Tales of Captain Underpants. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Thanks to all of you listening in live on statiONhead Radio. And say, if you enjoyed the show and would like to listen anytime, why don't you join me over on Patreon at patreon.com/Phil Machi and become a subscriber today. Not only are there cool rewards, but you can also stream this show anytime you like, which means never missing an episode. I've been Phil Machi, you've been a wonderful audience, and until next time, keep those eyeballs peeled, those ears open, and be sure to stay tuned. Alrighty, thank you so much for being here for the first half of the show of Stay Tuned, which was the scripted portion of it. Thank you very much. You guys are very kind. I appreciate that. And I will now gladly bring on the air anybody who would like to join me to talk about Teen Titans.